What I have here in my hands is something that I've been personally very excited about since the first time I heard about it. This is the CineLog 20 from GepRC with the O3 air unit on board, and this thing is tiny. This right here is the smallest 4K FPV drone I've ever flown, and it doesn't need any cameras because of that O3 air unit. It only needs a battery on top and you're good to go, and you can do wonders with a small footprint like this. So I've been flying the CineLog 20 for the past couple of weeks or so, and I took it with me on a very cold mountain trip near snow recently, footage from which you will see very soon. I took it with me near the beach, inside the forest, around a couple of other parks, and I can certainly say that I enjoyed all of these flights. This drone is a very capable drone, and I think the biggest thing about this drone is of course the size and the weight. This thing is absolutely tiny. It definitely looks like a toy, but let me tell you, it does not fly like a toy. The performance of this drone is great. It might look funny just keeping it in my hand like this, but this thing can definitely rip. It's a very fast drone. I was surprised to see how fast it actually picks up speed. And I recently reviewed the Defender 25 from iFlight, which is a little bit bigger. Of course, it performs a little bit better because of those bigger motors that it has, but for regular one-shot takes, or those very popular clips that you just go around people, you go through gaps and you end up showcasing the whole area around you, I think for shots that does not necessarily require a lot of acro movements, this might be the better drone for that, simply because of that smaller form factor and because it can go through even smaller gaps. I'm sure you will understand what I mean when I put them side by side. This is a 2.5-inch drone and this is a 2-inch drone, and the size difference is quite massive. Sometimes you just really need the smallest quad possible for, depending on your needs of course, but I can imagine a lot of scenarios, well, this will be the better choice. Of course, if you need more performance, this might not be the better choice because it's not the best when it comes to acro movements, but it is the best when it comes to flying through the smallest gaps possible and being close to people without, making too much noise around them and without disturbing them too much as well. GepRC is continuing their tradition to put these dampening plates here near the camera so they can severely limit the vibrations that are getting to the camera itself. So if you are using the O3 air unit with stabilization turned off and you're relying on gyro flow to stabilize your footage, you will end up with some beautiful footage that will be just super smooth because of that dampening system here and because of that gyro data that will be stabilized with gyro flow later in post. And this is a 4S drone, meaning that it will take a battery that is about 450 milliamp hours to about 650 milliamp hours. Those are the ideal specs of the battery that this drone uses. I personally use a 650 milliamp hour battery for this drone because 450 is a bit too small for my taste and it's going to severely limit my flight time. But with a 650 milliamp hour battery, I'm getting about 3 minutes of flight time, which could be annoying for some people, but keep in mind this is extremely small and tiny, so that limit from the battery is something that you just have to deal with. Of course, this drone uses the pusher design, meaning that the props are spinning from the underside of the drone, and that makes it a whole lot more effective, and that also reduces the total footprint of this drone. And this is the Crossfire Nano RX version of the drone, meaning that you have a very tiny receiver antenna right next to the O3 air unit antenna. Everything is crammed up very, very nicely and tightly, but that also makes it very compact and of course very, very light as well. The total weight of this drone is just 140 grams without the battery, of course, so that gives you a lot of flexibility if you are aiming for a sub 250 gram total weight for a battery. And if you prefer, you can also add a naked GoPro or any other camera here right next to the O3 camera on the front. My personal recommendation is to keep this setup as light as possible to have the best performance out of this drone. Don't use a naked GoPro if you don't necessarily have to. The O3 air unit camera is just great for this type of drone, and if you use a 550 or 650 milliamp hour battery, you will end up with a very light, compact, and I would say great performing drone as well. When it comes to camera quality coming out of this drone, you probably are familiar with all of the details about it since it's the O3 air unit camera and it shoots amazing video. It shoots 10-bit video with 4K up to 120 frames per second. You have a lot of flexibility to choose which frame rate you want to shoot in, what color profile you want to use, how you want to stabilize your footage, and I think the best use case of the O3 air unit is in a tiny package like this. Because you're saving so much weight, you don't really need an additional camera on top because the O3 is just as good, or it might even be better than naked GoPro or any other camera that we've put on small drones before. You're saving a lot of space, you're saving a lot of weight, and you're gaining performance and battery life. The price of this drone is $515 if I'm not mistaken, with the Nano RX receiver, and of course the O3 air unit. They have a lot of different configurations if you're using walk snail or if you want the analog version of this drone, but I think the best way to really maximize the usage out of a small drone is if you're using the O3 air unit because of the camera capabilities, of course, but it's up to you to decide which system you're going to use. They have a lot of different options on their website, which I'm going to link below. With this drone, I'm super excited about the future possibilities that will open up because I still haven't had the chance to really plan a big video where I can push this to the limit and use it in the smallest gaps possible or fly it very close to an object or a person. But I'm thinking about ways to do that because I really want to see what this is capable of when it comes to maximizing its potential and just, yeah, using it in a very tight space. With that being said, guys, this is everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. The GepRC CineLog 20 is an amazing drone and I'm super excited about the possibilities. I think FPV has a very bright future ahead. Thank you so much for the support. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.
Yeah, I gotta keep it trilly on my soul. I'm the most selfish person that I know. Here we go, down the rabbit hole. Got a couple carrots round my neck. Self-respect, when you out of line, you put yourself in check.